Welcome back to our Teen Tuesday podcast episode. Our great host Ndubua as well as Dr. Mandy sit down to have a conversation about the girl child. We speak about teenage pregnancy, teen moms, and especially the experience of being a teen girl. Apart from having tons of fun and laughing about the common themes of the struggles of a teenage girl, we have informative chats about some of the tools that can help teen girls. Let's get the show on the road.
Hi guys, it's Vuvu here, your host for today's Teen Tuesdays, and I'm here with
Mandy.
Hi. Okay, so without further ado, this month's topic is teen moms, teen girls, and SRH. So as we know, teen pregnancy is already a complex issue with many different factors at play, from societal pressures to the lack of access, education, and healthcare. I think it's important to understand that all these factors, and also think about how we can support young people to make informed decisions, I could say, about their sexual and reproductive health. So we don't want to go with the usual tradition. Preventing pregnancy, you are doing wrong in here and here and here. I think the focus of today, or what we can try to unveil, is what is actually not being addressed enough. So let's not even look at it from a teen mom's point of view, but let's look at the before of that. So I, as a teen girl, how would I look at teen pregnancy? What could I say are the things that would scare me away, or the already existing pressures before and the after of that teen pregnancy? So, Mandy, I don't know about you, okay? I don't know about you, but in the world that we live in, being a teen has its own pressures. I know they say that as young people, we have no right to say that, hey, I can be stressed, understand? But there are stresses out there, and we do feel them as the youth, I'm telling you. So, focusing on like this whole conversation of being a teen girl, I mean, before even being a teen mom, I have the pressures of my body image already, out of like the social pressures of as a girl, or not even a girl, just female, being a woman. We have these expectations that you need to play this kind of role, and what, and it's a thing of, we have been trying to break those ideas or those kinds of pressures, but they have been so long existent that it's not easy to overcome. But we're on the way of that. But then, yes, as a teen girl, I already have the body image issue. Many girls these days struggle with negative body image, and then now I imagine being a teen mom, your body going through those changes. How would you feel, outside of, your parents being upset with you, outside of the judgment from, peers and whomever? The mentality of my own self is also a factor that contributes to really a struggle of teen girls and teen moms in general. Do you agree? Or what would you say as somebody who has went through teenagehood and looking at it now?
This is such an important and interesting topic to think about it as a teen girl before it even happens. I think the common conversation is always, let's talk about the teen mom when it already happened. And we neglect to go back and say, but it's actually tough being a teen girl. And it's about the things that you were also saying, like, and just a disclaimer, I'm not that old that teenagehood is so far away from me. Can we please? Okay. But yes. I'm old enough that I've overcome the teenagehood, and I'm going through another phase of life that's doing the mostest. But my point is that Yes, I do agree that there are multiple pressures that are involved in being a teen girl and living through teenagehood as a young woman. And one of those things, maybe to highlight even just the definition of how the sexual reproductive health world sees teen girls. You know, when they do the stats talking about vulnerable populations, and you see research projects, a large amount of the funding goes to empower adolescent young girls. And the reason for that is because they are deemed as a vulnerable population, predominantly because it's understood that the results of poor sexual choice largely falls on them. Not to say the adolescent boy doesn't have consequences of poor sexual and reproductive health choices. They do. However, the girls have an added extra. We can fall pregnant, and it's visible when we fall pregnant. And just to even put a plain example in context, I had attended a panel discussion some time back, and one of the ladies who was speaking for an HIV organization said something that was so interesting and stood with me, was that when you think of HIV and you think of pregnancy, with HIV, it's something that is concealed. You can have a status, you can have a positive status rather, and I can't tell that by just looking at you. But falling pregnant, girl, it's a giveaway. You can't conceal that. They've tried. I know we wear jerseys at school, wear multiple layers, hide it for a couple of months. It's there. It's there, and you can see it. So she was saying the difficulty with being a teenager who's pregnant is that it's something that it's a shame that cannot be concealed. Whereas even the stigmas of HIV can be concealed. So you can only imagine that type of pressure. And it's a pressure only teen girls can experience. It's not one that teen boys can experience. So it's a very interesting one to talk about, the teen girl pressure prior to teenage pregnancy. And maybe just to throw it back in there, talking to you as a teen girl, is, you know, what are some of the stories or some of the hard pressures that are placed on you to make better sexual choices because you can fall pregnant? Like, I know the you know, my parents' strictness and my community's warnings. Like, let's just talk about those, the funny, weird things that people have said to teen girls to make sure they don't fall pregnant and sort of put that pressure on you. Like, what are some of the weird things you've heard?
Me personally, how can I say it? I wouldn't say it's like weird things that I've heard. But then, you know, there's always those talks. Guys, yes. There are always those talks. It's okay, apart from things that I've heard, but then it could be a simple thing like my experience wise.
Yeah.
My experience from having guy friends.
Yeah.
As soon as that, you are attacked. Right at the age of now I enter high schools. Now they're sitting you down, telling you that Pela, remember uthi wena college 1 2 3 1 2 3. Sometimes they tell us that like stories about our late grandmothers or our great grandmothers that they went through, and we must not be the same, you know, things like that. So I'm not saying don't warn us, I'm not saying don't educate us, but I'm pretty sure that there's a better approach than scaring me in that manner. You know, the thing of now we are afraid of simple things like how can I say it, guy friend and girlfriend relationships. You know, it always has to be romanticized or overthought because there's that risk, because my mother said that boys bring babies. So boys bring babies, that and that. But I wonder if they've ever sat someone is like my brother, since like I know he's entering his teens now. I don't remember a day my mom sitting him down and telling him that, hey, get babies. It's me who had that talk, you know. So like you say, although okay, I'm not pregnant, of course, but then although it's not visible or I'm not pregnant yet, there's already that lash of we have to totoza and go behind you, reminding you each and every day, which 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 like makes me question, is it really like on the lady's shoulders or the female that make that decision, or is it not an informed decision altogether? Because I get a two parties join, and then that happens. So I'm just surprised that it's a realization that hasn't hit me until now, that you're saying, Wuti, what weird things have I been told? Um, the boys really don't get those lingering warnings, those
Yeah.
lingering, hey, if you understand. I've only heard them ever say just use protection,
Yeah.
because no woman would want to get married to a man onengulazi or HIV. But other than that, and it's so much so that in the earlier stages, now maybe you were a teen mom, now you are an adult. You kept the baby, you kept the child and everything. You are raising them. What. Most of the time in relationships, I know this might be a bit but like
Controversial. Yeah.
yes, but in relationships, we find that the male party runs away at the thought of, oh, this woman has a child. Now I'm dating a woman who has a child. That's if the father did not account, whatever. So yeah, man. As being a teen mom, I think that could also be something that I would think about. Hey, now no man is ever gonna love me. Nobody's gonna want me because singing and boy does not want to account for it. So yeah, that's my take on it. Have you heard anything?
Definitely, definitely. And let me just say some of the weird things I've heard, and then I'll get back to some of the points that you raised that are quite interesting. So I think similar to you, I also, as a young girl, you always are having, someone's always giving you a chat. And the chat is always along the lines, ungatimoshi, ungatimosheli, yeah, you don't want to be used up. Everyone likes a preserved flower that's not trampled upon. You know, basabe bafana babekele ekutheni funza ucede bafana bayadistebhana the list goes on, and shame, yeah, there's truth in it. Bayadistebhana vele.
I mean,
Equally the same also with girls. Girls are distractions to young boys. I have brothers. I've seen them. They are distracted because the sisters, too much. But my point is that, and it's the one point that you raised, that the pressure is the pressure of sexual purity, sexual preservation is more on the teen girl than it is on the teen boy. And we sort of get that. It's coming from the fear of a shame that could fall upon you, which the shame is teenage pregnancy. And it's also the acknowledgement that for you as a young girl, society doesn't accept this shame. And it's what you were saying, that when you get older, you've heard people say, I don't want to marry a girl who's got a child. You even hear men who say, I don't want to marry a person who's not a virgin. And he's not a virgin, but he doesn't want to marry a person who's not a virgin. It's just strange. But those are the things that we find in society. And I mean, everyone can choose their preference and what they want to do. But it's just the acknowledgement that the teen girl has a lot of pressure, has a lot of pressure to maintain an innocence that is quite tricky. And that innocence that they're trying to preserve is what is also sometimes the push to an excessiveness. So because you're trying to hide and conceal the fact that you actually are curious and want to be sexually active, you then hide it. You then don't go and get contraceptives. You then don't use protection. You don't ask questions about healthy sexual practices. And then you fall into the trap of the unwanted or unplanned for consequences of sexual activity. So it doesn't help these weird warnings that we're getting, because they don't make us feel safe and secure as a young girl to feel confident to go to my mom and be like, I actually would like to start the pill. It doesn't make me comfortable and confident to say, I'm curious about sex. I have a boyfriend and, I'm curious. Because how do you go and have a conversation with somebody who says to you, "Vuvu, ungatimoshi, uliblomu wena, ungatimosha, angisakufuni la khayilami." How do you have that conversation? How do you have that conversation? Please let me know how.
I don't.
Exactly.
I simply don't. I imagine it with my mom. And I don't know, maybe it's not even about African moms in general. Like you say, this is the honest thing or the generalized thing of as a girl. Girl, as a girl, as a girl, as a girl, and it's quite similar to teen pregnancy and teen moms. I think there's like a difference in that when we talk about indulging or looking further into it, because like we said before we started the recording or everything, when we were discussing, we don't want to go along the lines of teen pregnancy, because I think that's something that's already been discussed too many times about. It's to a point where I don't think most teens want to hear about it because it's the obvious, I've been thinking to myself, maybe there are things that we actually also overlook in the topic of like teen pregnancy or teen moms. So we overlook the fact that there could be other dynamics or factors that we're not really saying that we condone teen pregnancy, but trying to, how can I say it, emphasize that the teen moms as well need a focus on them because it's already here and it's already happening. And also basically providing support and resources does not mean that we're condoning teen pregnancy. It simply means that we're recognizing that it's a complex issue that, requires a different approach by prioritizing their health and and well-beings. We can help them make better choices, because apart from the teen girl that I was before being a teen mom, or the teen girl that I am right now, let's say I'm a teen mom right now, we don't want things like the negative consequences of teens dropping out of school or teens being at risk of such relationships with such men that have those priorities or those kinds of ideas. So we help that by acknowledging the fact that as a teen mom, they go through mental health issues themselves. They prioritizing in certain areas so that we sort of hinder those things that are happening right now, because the focus is on teen pregnancy and being pregnant or engaging in that sexual activity, but what about the aftermath of, okay, now I'm pregnant, you know? So I like that we first looked at me as a teen girl. Now, me as a teen mom, what do I exactly need? You know, as a teen mom, what kind of support can help me push out of those societal pressures, or those body image pressures, those whatever pressures. So that's also something else. Those are those pressures that come from the constant things that I've heard from my mom. You know, for example, studies have shown that when teen moms have access to education and support, they are less likely to have subsequent pregnancies and are more likely to leave high school, you know, overlooking the fact that ungadimoshi funza qedza sekile phela sena yani uyaphuma vele uphele lapha endlini yamama noma sena njani yabo. So I think they are also other things that are overlooked apart from teen pregnancy, but teen moms in specific. Yeah.
I like that you're moving forward, going backwards, moving forward, going backwards, because some of our solutions are in the backwards that can still be applied in the forward. And you're mentioning some of them. A large part of them is that from the get-go, whether you are a teen mom or a teen girl, support is necessary amongst women. And that common womanhood support, especially when it comes to your sexual reproductive choice, options, is something that needs to be there before you even are considered as statistics of a teenage pregnancy. So when our parents speak to us, or when our young sisters or cousins and whatever, it needs to be something that's a norm. We need to freely talk like this and be like, woo, this is the reality. You're going to date somebody and you're going to want to hug, you're going to want to kiss, you're going to want cuddles, and, you know, feel some type of way. But the way you feel doesn't necessarily have to constitute in a reaction of something that you may not be prepared for. So be aware that your feelings don't have to drive your everything. And when you're not ready for something, say no. When you're not safe and you don't feel comfortable with something, say no. If in the event you do feel comfortable and you want to explore something, just know these are the consequences, or these are your options. So that support needs to be there Vela, from get-go. As a teenage girl, especially because now we've already highlighted, Kuti, you are high risk from get-go, right? Yeah. And that's also very important because it's not just only pregnancy, it's also all these STIs, all these things that are around. Whichever STI that's there, you tend to have late side effects of that STI, especially when you have recurrent STIs. You find that you become infertile because the bacteria or that infection went all the way to your fallopian tubes, caused a lot of inflammation, and now inflammation causes the fallopian tubes to shrink and close. So now the egg can never come into the uterus, and now you are 30-something, wanting to fall pregnant, and now you can't have babies. And it's sad because all of this started in your teenagehood. You hid that you're sexually active. You never went seeking for treatment because you're shy to go to the clinic, because you felt like you would be judged. And now you have to live through consequences that could have been prevented. So, I mean, there's just a mountain of issues just being a teenage girl that we go through a lot. But now as we transition and you come to the teen mom, the one other thing that you also mentioned, other than just the support that we spoke about, is also the idea of motherhood and mental health. And when you said the mental health one, we go backwards. What also constitutes a teenage girl to want to engage in a relationship that is suggesting or forcing her to have risky sexual behavior. Like, what mental state are you in? Because we know there are some of our sisters who get into relationships either with older men or even any man who might be close in age, but who's got money. So transactional relationships, that's a thing. And what pushes a person to get to that? Why are you not, satisfied with what you have? The social pressures. You want to look like the other girls. You want to dress like the other girls. You want to leave like the other girls. I was so shocked. I went to a carnival and it was filled with a lot of teens, but literally they all looked older than me. And I was like, how? And that's because they had lashes, weaves.
Yes, what do
Yeah.
I do like?
I'm not coming for the lashes or the weaves, but it does enhance and matures a young girl. So there's also that, like there's those pressures, the image thing. As a young girl, your beauty status is a thing. It's a thing. I remember in high school, CV's day was a situation. Still is, isn't it? Casual day is a situation because, I must be dressed because
For them, because you have been noticed. I remember even speaking about Civis Day, not even in high school, but when we were entering our teens, like maybe 13 years.
yeah,
I was in grade 7 and it was a shocker, but then I don't blame the teacher for saying this.
yeah,
She held a meeting for all the grade 7 girls, with 13, whatever. And she's like, girls, remember, love yourself, love your body. You are not here to impress the boys. Wear something, wear clothes, okay? Don't go around looking like, it's not a thing of, don't wear your crop tops. Don't wear. Girls go out, like out of, I think even out of their comfort zone, just to look according to the pressure or the standard set. So it's honestly a thing as young as like a grade 7 who's turned 13. They're already doing those things. In school, we even see girls, it's not part of school uniform, Mandy, but they will have lip liner on, makeup on.
there we go.
And I don't even know if it's within the trends or it's within the whatever, but it's just there. And it won't go away, it won't die down because it is the reality. It's not something that I could say, I'll wake up and things will be normal. But that is our normal, I can say.
Yeah.
And that's that.
And the scary thing about that normal, and it carries throughout all the ages. It's not just you guys who are having this, but even me as a semi-older person than you. Literally, I have pressures as well. That why aren't I doing wigs? And we must differentiate. There's, as a girl, it's good to be clean. It's good to love yourself. It's good to take care of yourself. But the thing is, I think maybe our issue is that we don't praise simple cleanliness. We don't praise.
That is true.
We don't. We are more entertained by the extremes of our society, and that's what perpetuates the cycle of people thinking that is the standard of beauty. And that one is going to be a tricky one to dismantle because media portrays beauty in a specific way. And that pressure carries to our children and how they identify with what is socially acceptable. Because, if I come to CV's and I'm just wearing a jersey and a jean and I put my Vaseline on my lips, I kid you not, my friends would not be like, girl, you're dressed fine. It would be like, hey, Maddie. And as a teen, the last thing you want get to wear CVs is to get we saw you're wearing a jersey.
Yes, yes, you somebody else out of your uniform, I could say. Um, it's not even about, how can I say it? Apart from modesty and everything, there's literally an image that must be set. You
Mm.
don't have to be iconic, Mandy, but you need to be taking some part of trend. It's
I-
either your lashes, or you are doing eyeliner, or you have ripped jeans. And by ripped, I mean ripped.
yeah,
It's a new kind of ripped in my generation. It's either you have that, or you have the short mini skirts. I'm telling you, girl. Or it's what you have, that hairstyle. You can't just show up with your cornrows.
yeah.
Nowadays, because if you don't have maybe your Fulani braids, that's like those tribal braids, but then obviously
Mm.
your hairpiece and whatever. If you don't have that, or that new bow trend where girls are wearing bows, ribbons, or you don't have your lace frontal, you are not the it. You
Yeah.
know, and like a simpler side to it, but as long as if you're partaking in it. So I don't even know to call it modesty versus whatever, because they have their own misconception, or let me not say misconception, but their own conception of
Mm.
what it is to be modest. So you can be simple, but I don't think you can be too simple.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that, like, that I'm so grateful that we are making that distinction and that reality. And that reality is not to say there is anything wrong with loving and wanting to portray a specific type of beauty. I want to highlight it in the sense to say they are variations in beauty. But as society, we uplift certain types of beauty above others. That's a known standard thing. We've accepted it. It is what it is. Different strokes for different folks. Fine, fair. But for a teen girl, that can be self esteem damaging. That can be mental health stressing. Because at this stage of your life, peer admiration, peer acceptance is your biggest thing. Like, you don't care what I think about you. You care what the other ambassadors think about you. Like, if
Yeah.
I say to you, "Vuvu, I thought you actually did very well," it lands. But if your fellow ambassadors say, "Vuvu, you killed that post. You killed that," yo, that lands. But when I say it, doesn't matter.
Well, well, I disagree, but I know you're making an example, so go ahead, go ahead.
But my point is that that's also some of the heavy pressures that a teen girl has. And yes, the teen boy has it. But just for today, if we talk about the teen girl, that's a heavy pressure, because how you look, how you're perceived is something that's a heavy pressure. And then when you get the reactions from how you look, we don't talk about how to respond to them, because the reactions you get from the guys can be in many folds. You get the reaction where now the guys are like, she is an easy girl, or she is, they sexualize you, hypersexualize you. Or you get the reaction where the guys are like, "Ay, mamfundi is ngapha. Ay,
I know.
and I'm sorry, everyone hurts."
Me, I couldn't care less, shame. But that's just me. It's an honest. Yeah, I couldn't care less, shame. I know, and I'm not saying that everybody should have like a mindset like mine, but it really helps. Now going back to things like conversations that start at home, in my, okay, I don't want to bring belief in this, but in my Christianity belief, they often do preach that your first Bible is the parents that you experience at home, your parents. So you are your child's first Bible. And when we look at like the Bible, whatever, it's basically like a guide, right? So how I from my manners, how I speak, what I think of, how I process my thinking. I learn it or I'm groomed sort of from home, and then there's, the influences outside. So if you don't get that support, knowing that Mandy in her truest form is okay and enough. Don't have to be, there's no addition that needs to be, added on to you, or subtraction from this, subtraction from that. Instead of telling me, thinking that you are supporting me and you're building me up, but you're telling me who's not demotion. So what's when I have the potential you understand?
No confidence in me.
Yeah. So have that confidence in me. It starts at home as well, having that support, having that grooming, having that guide, parents being your first Bible. It makes it easier for you to come across such people or standards and look at yourself and say, you know what, I'm fine. I like this, and say that you're entitled to your own opinion, 100%. My responsibility is how I react to that, and this is what I choose. So, it's in protecting that when it comes to teenagers, teen girls. I don't know how many times self-image has been preached and talked about at school, social media. I'm at a point where I think, you know what, I don't see the effects of it. So these people might just be doing it for the fun of it. To a point where not so long ago at school we were doing speeches. I kid you not, Mandy, there was a what you call a topic. So we have different topics to choose from, and there's another girl from class. I'm not saying that she was the only one who chose that topic, but her speech stood out for me. She chose one about self-image, and there's this. There are these comments from the boys in class about this other girl. So she does not choose to do your cornrows or wear your afro or whatever. She has her weave, whatever. And after she made that speech about self-image, love yourself the way that you are, there were comments about, hey, on some, did you hear? Those, we're talking about you at the same time, And I'm here sitting there thinking that, hi, man, at the same time, at the same time, you are making a point over the. Do you get what I mean? It's people it's people like you that we need to be strong for when we come to school, because such a beautiful speech about self-image. I need to know that yes, she gave that, but I feel comfortable in this. Yeah. So they took this whole beautiful thing about self-image and how you see yourself and turned it around, and they perverted it, if I'm being honest. So it's that. It's a constant reminder. We are constantly reminded that, okay, love yourself how you are. But then, if I'm being honest, in our day and age, it's love yourself the way that we want you to. You get what like that we think loving yourself is, or can say that now I love myself. Now that I look like this, I love myself, instead of yourself in your truest form. So, yeah, it's a big one when it comes to self-image.
I think when you started the topic, you said teenage pregnancy, teenagehood, what a complex and dynamic thing. And what you're saying there shows the complexity of the issue, because it's not one singular issue. It is like, even if it's one in the center, it's got like a billion spokes coming out of it. And you can take any direction to try and mitigate it. And especially when you start talking about how influential the household is to a teenager and how they perceive themselves, especially a teen girl. So many households don't have mother figures, father figures. So many households don't have maybe a value system. Some people don't adhere to any religion. Some people, even beyond religion, like just ikaya that doesn't take care of each other. There's so much in society, the ills of poverty really hurt a child in the upbringing. So it shows just how complex it is, because ideally what would be really great for the teen girl is you grow up with parents who support you, who love you, who nurture you and reaffirm you. In everything, you would have that sense of, "Nya, dad, ukuthi ngimbani," and I know my value, and I understand why I am who I am and why I do what I do. And those things are important because they do then inform how you live life and how you relate with other people and circumstances. So definitely, like you've highlighted the very crux of it. Being a teenage girl is complex, predominantly because of the many pressures of just being a teenager, but also being a teen girl comes with the big pressures that you have something that the teen boy will never have. You have the potential to fall pregnant. And that becomes a huge shame for you. And that type of pressure makes you, feel some type of way about yourself, make some type of decisions that might be decisions that are overwhelming for you as a person. So I think it's very interesting that we've had this conversation, and it's very interesting to just highlight some of the struggles of just being a teen girl and how we perceive ourselves as a young woman. But one big thing that keeps coming to me is just also the importance of healthy affirmation from a girl to a girl. I think in your friendship circles with your friends, how often do you reaffirm them to be beautiful young women, intelligent young women, young women with great potential, young women who can make wise decisions for themselves, who've got bright futures ahead of them? I think it takes a level of maturity. Of course, I don't expect teenagers to, during lunch break to be like, "I love you, I affirm you, you are great." Like, that's ridiculous, I guess, to like that. But I'm saying in the sense that from the little that one understands with this maturity is simple kindness to one another, especially as girls. Is so important because we do have heavy pressures that we have to live up to. Whether society makes us believe it or not, like this idea of we are equal, not quite. So let's be very sober and very kind, girl to girl. Like, that's something that is the smallest thing we can do for each other, because it's tough out there. And that kindness also helps a lot when I fall pregnant as a teen. For you as a girl to not side eye me and be like, "Yeah, girl, I knew you were active." Like,
Hey.
ungenaphi.
Yeah. Right about those boys, like that.
Exactly. It's like that doesn't even change anything. So the simple kindness, just to be like, "I see you as a person. We all make mistakes. We all don't make the best of decisions at times, but you are still a human being. You still have a lot of life to live. Try it." Yeah.
Yeah, no, hey, like you said, it's complex. It's a lot. It would be so. I would actually enjoy having such conversations or openings to girlhood, little teen pregnancy, teen moms, teenage girls, just girlhood. Because now, if we open ourselves to the thought of, as women coming together, or young women, young girls, whatever, coming together in any time, whether of need or motivation or support, if we could be more kinder to that idea, things would be a lot different. I mean, there's this, like you said, there's this the preaching of women empowerment, what. But it's even better to see it in action.
Yeah.
Dude, girlhood is a time of immense potential and possibility.
Yeah.
Teens deserve the opportunity to explore their passions,
Yeah.
their skills, develop their sense of self without the fear of stigma or being judged. We must work to create like a society that supports and values young women and recognizes that the unique challenges they face as they transition into adulthood. They heard and they are valid, which I we need to engage in activities to sort of minimize those negative consequences of the support not being there, the value not being there. So yes, girlhood. It literally. I love this conversation. Today's topic, Nje, or this month's topic, because it went from teenage girl, teen mom, okay, pressures, and then now girlhood. To sum it all up, I think in that whole entire bag or category of girlhood, girlhood is amazing, and I don't know, but when I think of my girls,
Yes, girl.
I think about my girls, I'm just like, damn, I'm like those girls. Me personally, I love my friends. It's a give and take relationship when it comes to me and them. I'm encouraged by them. I tell them each and every day. Not every day, but then I make sure to tell them that when I look at you guys, I am motivated. When I look at you guys, I mean, we're the same age, fine, but I genuinely do look up to you because there's something unique about you in this place. There's something unique about you in this and this and this. So it's important to uplift each other in that. A simple compliment can make somebody's entire day or entire week or whatever. So it is important, and also engaging in such mindful conversations just as girls. Okay, equality, boys, or just as girls, hearing each other's points of view to hold that. Yeah, well, it's important. So yes, teen pregnancy is a complex issue with a variety of factors that need to be addressed. I'm so glad that we had this conversation. Thank you, Mantu. I guess, yeah, and I appreciated having woman to woman actually, or female to female. And I'm not making this about gender or anything, but with this kind of topic that we had, it's sensitive, and I think it was needed for us to have it woman to woman or girl to girl, whatever. So the girlhood is also here at Ubushabam. Tell them. Tell them. Yes, man. So I think we can conclude today's conversation on girlhood, teenage moms, teen girls. I learned a lot as usual. I'm even amazed. Hey, in LO, I'm getting 90s at this point because what I learned here, I'm telling you, what I learned here, wow, that test is nothing compared. I don't need to study, actually. You know what? I don't need to study. I don't need to study because I have wisdom, girlhood, teen mom, pressures. Hey, Kaval. I just it because I am very forgetful. Thank you so much, Randy.
Thank you. Such an interesting conversation. And I think cherry on top, the summary of girlhood and how beautiful girlhood is. I think that is the best summary. Thank you so much.
Okay. You know what? Not same time. Ish. Next time. Next time. We are next time. I don't know. Okay. Bye, Team Tuesday.
If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and follow us on all other social media platforms. Till next time.